Again, my name is Martin. I'm from ITM Münster, and I want to talk to you about legal aspects of digital preservation. So, what we did in the last year was we took a closer look on digital preservation from a legal point of view and tried to figure out what are the most relevant aspects of digital preservation. So, today our focus will be on copyrights in digital preservation. But before we start with copyrights, I want to give you a short overview of general aspects of digital preservation, the most relevant aspects of digital preservation from a legal point of view. So look at my slide. In the center of my slide, we have a company, let's say a pharma company. And this pharma company wants to set up, install, run a digital preservation system. So what do they have to think about? What legal aspects may they have to be aware of? First of all, in the left corner, the intellectual property rights. Imagine our pharma company has a contract with another company, let's say a software company, and this software company delivers and maintains a payroll program. And this payroll and accounting program is used by our pharma company, and now they want to preserve their whole business process, including the payroll information, for a reason we talk about later. How are they going to do that? How will they be able to keep the information out of this program, the formats, the file format? They have to preserve the whole program. So when you preserve the program, you may somehow have a problem with copyrights. Maybe you need to copy the object code or the source code or whatever. So this is the topic of today. We will talk about that. But before we get a closer look on copyrights, let's move on to legal obligations to preserve data. I asked you, hey, why does this company want to preserve payroll information? So legal aspects are not only a problem for digital preservation, but legal aspects can also be a driver for digital preservation, because we have some laws and regulations that oblige you to preserve something. For example, the non-sector specific obligations, so obligations that every business company, I guess all over the world, has somehow to comply with. For example, tax laws. There are a lot of laws that say you have to, of course, report at the end of the business year your tax information, but moreover, you have to preserve, you keep this information for more than 1 year, depending on your national legislation, could be 10 to 15 years. So there is an obligation to keep this tax information. And this could be a driver for digital preservation, because when you preserve the whole business process, you also preserve this relevant information and maybe easily be able to work with this information and in let's say in 10 years. So this could be a non-sector specific legal obligation. Another legal obligation could be any form of trade law. In trade law, we also have aspects that laws that say you have to keep your trading information for 10 years, maybe 15 years, also depending on your national legislation. So these are non-sector specific obligations, and of course you have something like what we call sector specific obligations. Every branch has different legal obligations depending on when you work on if you work on let's say the aero branch, or in this case our pharma company. Just an example. The pharma company has to comply to aspects of obligations of the European Medicine Agency. This EMA, European Medicine Agency, authorizes the procedure of special medicine products and lays down principles and guidelines for good manufacturing practice. So they oblige this pharma company to keep records of the batch documentation of the medical products. So if this pharma company, in our example, runs a DP system and covers the whole business process, they also would comply with their, for example, their sector-specific obligations. And there are a lot of more sector-specific obligations. For example, in German national law, when you run X-rays, you have to keep the X-ray files for 30 years and more. So if you're a hospital, for example, you have to keep this file. So this could be very interesting from a legal point of view to implement in this system something that covers legal obligations to preserve from a sector-specific and a non-sector-specific way. So these are legal obligations to preserve. It could be a driver, or there are a lot of legal drivers for digital preservation. But back to the problems of digital preservation. I told you intellectual property rights may be a problem, and we'll talk about that. Of course, data protection may be a problem as well when you want to preserve personal information. In this example, the company wants to preserve their payroll and accounting information. So, of course, this payroll and accounting information are personal information. It's pretty easy to identify a real person, a data subject, with when you have the accounting information, and that's the definition of personal information, if you're able to identify a real person. So if you want to deal with personal information, you have to be aware of data protection issues. Which actions could somehow infringe data protection issues? Thinking of a DP system, I can't think of any operation of a DP system that would not somehow infringe data protection issues, because from the definition, what the data protection directive says, the data protection directive says, if you want to process any kind of personal information, you have to comply with data protection regulations. So the definition of processing covers everything you can think of what you can do with digital data. It covers storing, it covers transfer, it covers copying, it covers alteration, it even covers erasure and destruction. So even if you want to destroy personal information, you have to comply with data protection issues. And it gets even more complicated when you want to transfer somehow personal information to another country, and even more complicated if you want to transfer personal information to a country somewhere out of the European Union. So these are all data protection issues, and sadly I'm not allowed to talk about that today because this is not our topic, but I will be happy to come back and talk about data protection issues, because I think they are very, very, very relevant for digital preservation systems for business companies. Going on my slide, contracting. Of course, contracting somehow is an issue of digital preservation. You can think about all of numerous of contracts regarding a digital preservation system. You can think about licenses, so that you maybe not infringe copyright somehow, and you also can think about, Angela told us about that too this morning, about escrow agreements. So escrow agreements is also a part of the contracting block in our legal analysis.